I don't know about y'all, but when I witness the profound cruelty of this regime, the way that they are targeting immigrants in particular, vilifying, denigrating, denying human rights and due process to immigrants within the United States. Every time I see a story about this issue, or I see a video from a Trumper who is giddy, gleeful over it, two different things pop into my head, and I want to share both of them with you. The first is a poem by Emma Lazarus titled The New Colossus. It is on the front of the Statue of Liberty. Back in the day, almost every American kid had to memorize it in junior high. Now, I'm not an orator, but I want to share it with you. And forgive me if I get a little bit choked up when I read it. My ancestors were immigrants to the United States. This country welcomed them. I get to live in what was, until recently, the land of the free and the home of the brave. Because this nation opened its arms to immigrants. Because this nation was founded on welcoming immigrants. Okay, let me read this. Not like the brazen giant of Greek fame, with conquering limbs astride from land to land, here at our sea-washed sunset gates shall stand a mighty woman with a torch, whose flame is the imprisoned lightning, and her name, Mother of Exiles. From her beacon hand glows worldwide welcome. Her mild eyes command the air-bridged harbor that twin cities frame. Keep, ancient lands, you storied pomp, cries she with silent lips. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free. The wretched refuse of your teeming shore. Send these, the homeless, tempest-tossed to me. I lift my lamp to the golden door. When did we forget that this is who we were supposed to be as a nation? That these were our values, that these are the foundation of our country. The second thing that pops into my head when I see self-proclaimed Christians who support Trump, MAGA evangelicals, rejoicing over the things this regime is doing to immigrants, supporting the denial of due process, supporting the cruelty, supporting ICE going into schools and hospitals and churches to snatch people. Immediately, what comes to the forefront of my mind is Leviticus 19:33 and 34. When a foreigner resides among you in your land, do not mistreat them. The foreigner residing among you must be treated as your native born. Love them as yourself, for you were foreigners in Egypt. I am the Lord your God. I'll read it again in the NAB since not everybody likes the NIV. When an alien resides with you in your land, do not mistreat such a one. You shall treat the alien who resides with you no differently than the natives born among you. You shall love the alien as yourself, for you too were once aliens in the land of Egypt. I, the Lord, am your God. I realize that man's inhumanity toward man is something that I struggle to grasp. Self-proclaimed Christians who are the children, grandchildren, descendants of immigrants themselves, who up until very recently were like, we're the patriotic pro-Constitution party. The folks who are attending church and saying their Easter prayers this weekend, celebrating the resurrection of a man who said, when you give a luncheon or a dinner, do not invite your friends or your brothers or your relatives or rich neighbors in case they may invite you in return and you would be repaid. But when you give a banquet, invite the poor, the crippled, the lame, the blind, and you will be blessed because they cannot repay you. For you will be paid at the resurrection of the righteous. They're Christ who separated the righteous from the unrighteous, the sheep from the goats, based on the fact that the righteous served Christ by feeding the hungry, giving the thirsty something to drink, welcoming the stranger in their land, clothing the naked, tending to the sick, and visiting those in prison. While at the same time, those people are delighting in the suffering of immigrants, are denying them due process, are supporting a regime that is kidnapping these folks and renditioning them to a torture prison in El Salvador, excited over this regime separating children from their mothers, destroying lives, oppressing the poor, vilifying and dehumanizing immigrants. I mean, the hypocrisy to me is just mind-blowing. Have they forgotten who they used to be? Do they not understand what they worship or what values they said that they upheld? Be they religious or patriotic constitutional values, I cannot wrap my brain around it at all. But I know that this is a chunk of America right now. That is heartbreaking to me. I do not know how they are not moved by the poem on the front of the Statue of Liberty. They drive around town in their big lifted trucks with their American flag and eagle decals all over the back window. How they so easily neglect what are traditional American values, the fundamental underpinnings of this nation, things that our grandparents and great-grandparents went to war and fought and died for. I don't know how these folks with crosses and doves, Jesus follower in their social media bios seem to not understand the basic tenets of their scripture, how they are not convicted by the words of their own Christ, the sacred texts of their religion. I don't know. I don't understand it. Especially because I, who've never been particularly patriotic, am moved to tears by that poem. I'm so grateful that my foremothers and forefathers had the opportunity to immigrate here from Germany and England. And while I may no longer be religious, I find those scripture verses just as compelling, just as moving, just as convicting. I know that we cannot compel people to be moral or ethical or to view other people as actual human beings and to care about them. We have a profound crisis of empathy in this country. But at the same time, there are millions and millions and millions of us marching, protesting, fighting for the rights, the dignity, the humanity, the lives, the well-being of everybody else. So even though I am baffled and saddened by the MAGA folks and the ways that they are supporting the cruelty of this regime, I don't want you or I to get drawn down by that, to be discouraged and to despair because of that. Because the reality is right now, today, it's April 19th, there are people marching all over this country. I will be going in a couple of hours. Our march that I'm attending is at 3 p.m. I'm pointing to the clock up here. It's 11:30. So I've got some time yet before I have to roll out. But I am very much encouraged that despite the fact that there are a chunk of folks who seem to be morally bankrupt, profoundly cruel, have lost the best parts of themselves, have lost their humanity, there are millions and millions and millions of us who are clinging to our humanity, to our empathy with everything that we have, and we are fighting. It is a great comfort to me, and I hope it is to you as well.